Good morning, everyone. This is Jordan with Conquer Trading Investing, getting ready here for our live stream. Hope you're all well today. Looking forward to getting into today's session with you once again. There's a lot to process. It's amazing what's happening today overnight. It's things that would take weeks, a week or more to process. The news flow is obviously just overwhelming. Things are very fluid. Let's take a look at everything, see where we are, and continue processing this all as it occurs. Of course, there's several things to look at, but starting with the dollar is now over 100. US indices trading down this morning. Trump's tried to step in this morning and say he had some good news from the FDA. I don't know what that possibly could be, but future markets for a moment bought into it. ETF spiked higher, now off again. The coronavirus cases now, I believe, are over 200,000 worldwide, doubling in a week. The most troubling thing I think I saw overnight, Jesse shared it to us in the chat, was that there was talk the last couple of days in China of the fact that foreigners were bringing in the virus. That was probably cover because they knew that they were seeing a resurgence. This is the one thing that that I've mentioned is most important to us to look for, and that would be a resurgence in cases in China. That will be a bad sign if we do in fact indeed see that occur. Too soon to tell what is happening. We obviously don't get clear indications over there, but something for us to keep an eye on. And the other big story, of course, is oil is traded down to $24, down another 10%. I know that we did talk about in a while ago, the possibility of $22 oil. I don't know that I believe it, but I will say this: I did see a headline on Zero Hedge for $10 oil, so I don't have an opinion on that myself. Let's see where we're at. First, let me catch up with all of you. Mara, Blair, Yazbek, Jean, Thomas, Ba, Tico, okay, we got a full house in here. Dinkar, good morning. Okay. Sunset, Gabriel. Gabriel was in a nice trade this morning. Let's take a look at that one. I believe it was the pound Japanese yen, down 1.7%. Now, and I didn't get a chance to yet dive into it and look at it, but you picked the right pair. You picked the right player. Blair. You definitely picked the right pair, and I'll take a look at what you sent over and get into it later when we can. I know that the pound weakness is such that even seeing people, representatives, I don't know exactly what it was, if it was someone from the Bank of England or who it was, talking about that they're very aware of what is going. Look at this over here. This is probably more US dollar strength, and look at the anatomy of we thought this was a big move, didn't we? To the upside. It's not bigger to the downside. So what is going on? Danielle, Dowell, Peter, oil will reach 18 to 16. I believe you, Yazbek. I absolutely do. Okay, send me a ticker. I'll pull it out in a second. Love to see that. So here's the problem as we get into it this morning. Here's the problem. So wait, first, okay, if you could put that ticker in, I'll look at that first before I get into it. I don't want to get into a big flow here this morning and then get, pull it back up. Martine. I still remain short the euro US dollar. I'm still holding it. Now, All right. Well, okie dokie, when you get a chance, if you have that coffee or Arabica or coffee futures, probably is what we need to look at. Just let me know. Before we get into that, I want to talk about the current situation, what it means. For me, the most important piece of data that I'm looking at, and it's not the dollar strength. This is obviously, well, there's no way I ever expected um, this and then this, right? I mean, in all seriousness, we did even while we were trading way down here on the dollar. Just what was it last week? Very clearly, I was saying I did expect us to come back up, not only towards 99.50, but take out the highs. I just never expected it would be a week later. There's no way I expected that. Zero, not even close to it. But we talked about the next step being 104. All that remains. That's not a surprise. What is a surprise, and a couple of things. Let me start this off. This is going to be this is the most important thing right now. It's where we all need to focus. I did expect the futures to trade up last night. I did expect the stock market actually to trade up. I was even considering this could possibly be a rally that takes us all the way to 28 or 29. Around there, I would be very closely watching price action, because if it was rejected in that area and there was that, then put a knife in it, she's done. And we didn't get that. Muchin went ahead and trying to get this 1.2 trillion dollar stimulus package, this bailout package, this cover of we're giving money to the people, but really they're there to bail out the airlines, probably the shale companies, Boeing and whoever else. What happened is he said that if we don't get this stimulus package, the administration went back to their old go-to of fear, always scaring the people. 2008, if you don't give the bankers the bailout, if you don't give them all your money, the system will collapse. Last night, Munchin said, if you don't give this, if we don't pass this package, unemployment is going to go up to 20%. Soon as I read that, two things. The first thing that came to my mind is he's right. If this becomes a sincerely big crisis, a depression, unemployment is going to be well over 20%. What does that mean for the people? And then the second thing I thought is that's nonsense anyway. He's just using that as a fear tactic. But the markets got shook by it and went limit down. All right. So I was surprised by that. But here's the problem: is more importantly is sincerely what's going on. China was the biggest factor we needed to watch. Peter, if you have any ground information that you could share with us, please do. What is the general sense of the people? Are you seeing actually more movement? Are people more up and about? Or are you hearing about any type of resurgence in infections in the coronavirus? Now, if we get a second wave in China, if we start seeing things pick up in South Korea, this becomes very troublesome and worrisome, because the West is not going to be able to get a grasp on this as well as either one of those places. South Korea did it in a very efficient manner by over testing and testing everyone. It's very expensive, but very proactive, and the best model for the world to follow. The rest of the world is not following that. China went to extreme measures. It worked. Does it stay that way, or do we get a resurgence? If we do, the problem is that we were talking about yesterday how I would love to add to my portfolio some long Swiss franc and Japanese yen, and against some weak currencies, and now we're down another 1.78%. While I'm here looking for a retrace, I thought things were set up yesterday to see a little bit of risk on, with the stimulus package coming out of the U.S. Is not happening, and I'm aware that I might never get, I'm not going to chase it though. Yeah, yeah, you're seeing that play out in the ruble. You're seeing that play out. I haven't even checked the Turkish lira. I imagine we're definitely seeing it on the Mexican peso. I don't know. It was 23 yesterday. I think 26 obviously is where we're headed, and then who knows? That was not if we were in a crisis. We're in a crisis. Yeah, absolutely, Yazbek. U.S. is already becoming the epicenter of the crisis fast, and probably the headlines will reflect that anywhere from a week to 10 days from now. There will be lockdowns in the U.S. Already, you have 6 counties in the Bay Area locked down in place. Last night, Southern California, Orange County went into lockdown in place. Not one person has hit the like button on this stream. All right. Jackie, good morning. How's it going? Vima, definitely good to see you. Um, let's look at the US dollar, Japanese yen, ba. Let's do that right now. And also, I want to take a look at the US dollar, Canadian dollar. I need to catch up here, find out what's going on with all these cross pairs. Again, this is obviously reflected in oil, a huge part of the Canadian economy. This is just the market pricing in something that should be. You guys are probably blue in tired of hearing me talk about it. We were watching this for the longest time, this trend line break over here. This is one of the most powerful patterns that you'll ever see. You can see this, right now. We'll look at the Mexican peso next. When you get this trend line break, test, boom. And I didn't think things were going to play out as quickly as they did because expansions and ranges are accelerating. Why I was able to get a beautiful entry into this trade. I thought I made fantastic profits. I made nothing. Could have made more than my year on a normal trade alone. Look at the Mexican peso, 24. Oh, Thomas. Same exact pattern. Look at this trend line over here. Look at this trend line. Break, retest, boom. We saw that on gold. I showed you on gold before. This is why on the US dollar, Japanese yen, when we were seeing that pattern play out over that 5-year period, this trend line over here goes back 5 years. Well, this is almost as powerful. Break, retest, failed, and then look at the failure. Boom. What a great pattern. Checking in to see right now what gold is doing, what Bitcoin is doing. Clearly, we're just looking at dollar bull right now. It's hard. It's difficult to chase after moves, and there's no question, which is why Gabe and I will talk about it with you later, how the fact that you were able on that breakdown to get in, you have to adjust your style of trading a little bit. And why I'm sitting here on some risk off pairs looking for a retrace, in that downtrend to sell off resistance. It's just breakdown after breakdown after breakdown, and that's what it is. We're in a different environment right now. Wow, John. So just to touch on both those things. So closing the schools is obviously, and this weighs on obviously the household, on the parents, because a lot of houses are two-income provider houses. Now, who has to stay home and watch the kids? But on the other hand, of course, it's the right thing to do. The kids, unfortunately, as we all know who have kids, the way viruses pass around schools is unreal, and those then come home and affect the parents and infect the grandparents. That's going to save a lot of lives. I was speaking with my wife last week, John, and saying, this might be the last the mass we could go to for a while. Why it breaks my heart to hear that they had to suspend the public celebration of the mass. That's the right thing to do. So really respect your bishop. We'll look at the pound US dollar. It's getting it's getting absolutely decapitated. Well, so that makes sense, okie dokie. I mean, I'm stocking up on coffee, right? We're on lockdown. You can't leave. You gotta make sure you have your caffeine. John, if you send me an email, if you need it and send me an email, my wife received a ton of resources of these normally premium educational apps that are being offered free for the next 6 weeks. She's went crazy yesterday. She's in love with them. I briefly glanced at them. They looked awesome. And what a smart move by whatever company that was to do that in this time. Okie dokie. That make that makes sense. I want to pull up coffee futures though, just see if we can see anything. Just because, but I mean, uh, I would love some input from everyone. I have to be very clear. Um, I'm hanging out here holding this euro US dollar short, and like I said, I don't plan on giving up on it. I'm aware the Treasury could act. I'm aware that they could try to weaken the dollar, but the system is broken. I do want to build a gold long and Bitcoin long position around that. And then the other thing that I want to add around that is to get into against the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, and uh, Australian dollar is shorts against the Japanese yen and the Swiss franc, and that's not happening. So I'm going to be patient and just wait and wait and wait. But this is this is what I think is the ultimate crisis portfolio. I don't know what I'm looking at here, okay, okay, but you can see. No, I don't. You know, I don't know. Mark since where I would say um from between like 1450 and all the way down um towards 11. Didn't what did you say, brother? All right. So listen, the difficult thing here is how in this type of market, which is very volatile. And remember, and this is what I'm waiting for. We're going to see things rip in both directions in bear markets like this. You're going to see the biggest rallies, bull market rally. Not biggest rally is a bear market rally where you see severe corrections. And I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the correction to get back because when I see signs of things escalating over in China, that makes me believe that this is going to be prolonged. The havoc this is wreaking on the economy, the amount of stimulus being offered, the Federal Reserve is now basically out of ammunition. It's up to the governments. The governments are going to throw everything they have on it. It looks like everything's going to be faded. Patience here is really important. And again, this is the type of environment. This is the type of environment where fortunes can be made. So you got to be smart about it. I was not smart about giving up my best position trades. I was not smart about those, and I should be looking to hold those for still a couple more months. The only reason I keep saying that is because I'm trying to drill it into my brain and yours. I'm used to swing trading. I'm used to trading on a short time frame, and that's still all well and good. But I think at this point, you know, I want to build positions around it and hold those positions for some big moves. I don't know that I'll ever get back in here. Could be the trade of my lifetime that I regret. So that's a great question, Yazbek, and that's what the type of environment are in, right? Well, the dollar is gaining. Yeah, the DXY is now over 168. The dollar is gaining because it's a dollar-based system. Right now, things are breaking, and there's a dollar shortage across the world. A lot, debt is obviously across the world is denominated in dollars. And people need to pay back not only that principal, they need to pay back that interest in dollars. So they have to exchange their local currency into dollars to service that debt. But in this type of environment, yes, you're right. Everything is losing. How do you protect yourself in this environment? That's the question. Um, I'm aware now that we are, it looks like that we're heading towards deflation, hard, strong deflation, depression, right? Clearly, we're in a global recession right now, and it is a crisis level situation. Looks like we're headed towards depression. Of course, eventually that could mean, that could end also in an inflationary type environment. Either way, the asset that best performs in a deflationary type of environment and inflationary type of environment is gold. The best performing asset of the depression held its purchasing power. Now, that doesn't mean that gold also won't trade down, but its purchasing power will remain the strongest. I believe this time around, same thing with Bitcoin, except I believe Bitcoin outperforms gold. And until we get there, right now it's a dollar story. Yeah. I mean, I don't even think I don't. Let's, Jackie, we're going to look at that next. Okay, Jackie, we're going to look at the US dollar, Japanese yen. So, depression, I don't think is anything that any one of us, our grandparents, understand it well. Something that affected their entire lives. I don't, once they got out of it, they never really got out of it. So this is excellent. Let's look at the US dollar, Japanese yen. It's really in an important place here, yes, Jackie. And the reason being is because, again, just going back, this was the trend line over here. I know you've seen this before. I'm going to say it again. This was the 5-year trend line, this yellow trend line. Here's when we finally broke out to the upside. This was playing as normal, coming back, testing that breakout as resistance. This time it failed. This line here, this 109.71, that was our line in the sand. A lot of us, as soon as that was broken, got really long Japanese yen. Not versus the dollar, I didn't, but versus other pairs. And that played out really well. Came down into this support down here, and now we've bounced up pretty high. Is this a place to short? I think so. Now, I'm not looking to stand in front of the dollar right now. The only way I would get short of this is if, and to be honest, markets are moving fast. 4 hours is a good time to trade right now. Even the 1 hour is a good time to trade right now. But I'm looking here on the 8 hour, and we're coming into this area. And let me just, it's all of that area. So if we're rejected off this area and price starts coming back down, that is a good place to get short. However, if we get back above 109.71, that was the magic level on the way down. This was the level that we said that it was a false breakout. If we clear it right now on the upside, that is the important level. If we break this line to the upside, I am getting long US dollars versus the Japanese yen. And I'm going to respect that. This was a fake, and then another fake. And then if we break out again above that trend line, I'm long the US dollar, Japanese yen. At the same time, I'm watching over here. I'm not looking to step in front of the dollar, but if we are rejected over here, it's interesting and something to watch. I prefer to get short long the yen versus Canadian dollar, New Zealand dollar, Australian dollar, not versus the US dollar, but I will get long the US dollar versus the Japanese yen if it breaks above this trend line over here. So Jackie, just to answer your question now directly, you're looking at a very good level. You're looking at a very good level. You can see the resistance. Here's the one area of support, which is now resistance. Here's another area of resistance, and again another touch. Where's that high? 108.50. In this type of environment, as ranges are expanding by the day, 20, 30 pips. I mean, that was the equivalent of 5 pips just a month ago. So you got to give yourself room. You're looking at the low end of that level. It's a good level to watch. The only thing I could say is if you're looking to enter that trade, wait for price to get you into that trade. Do not enter the trade as price is rising into your level, because that momentum could keep going and going and going. Wait for the first indication that price is turning around. So we have US equities coming off their lows. Let's take a look at it. I really thought yesterday was the day that because of what was happening with the Senate trying to pass the coronavirus package, that it was looking like it was going to get passed, that we were going to see a reprieve. The package is probably still going to get passed. I don't really know. I'm not following the specifics of it right now, and things move really fast and change really fast in Washington. But if we do get that package, that could be the catalyst that sets off the counter rally, and I think that rally will ultimately be faded. I was looking yesterday, and I took a position yesterday on the S&P at 2381, which then got stopped out this morning. It was well into profit. I was hoping that was going to be the position I could ride up all the way to 28. In this area between 28, 29, all the way to this trend line. That's the area I'm going to be watching. If we get up there, I am going to be looking at building a short position. I don't think that any type of action is going to be able to counter the devastation that's coming to the economy, and why I do think that ultimately everything is going to be all right. We were talking earlier this morning about well, it looks like that well, I don't want to get into that. I think so when we talk about facts and we talk about what's going on, that I've realized over the last day that a lot of people, they can't take it, that they feel like everyone is negative. It really is weighing on them. I wouldn't go as far as, that's how I would describe it. And I'm probably I consider myself to be a very positive and hopeful person, beyond hopeful, right? Because I place all of my trust and hope in the Lord. And when I see these things going around us, it's just my profession, my career, to have to be able to understand what's going around me, to act accordingly. I have the greatest hope in humanity, and looking at these things and the situations we're faced. Listen, you have to be a realist, right? If you don't understand what's going on around you, how do you protect yourself and your family and your loved ones? So, Alberto, Alberto, please definitely send me an email, catch up with me. You probably, people are pretty shook right now. US markets seem to be pretty active right now, though. Let's check back in the dollar. The dollar is retracing a little bit right now. All right. Maybe that wouldn't be considered a little bit, back over here. That would be a really large range. But look at this candle it's put in. Let's look at the monthly candle. Um, so, and I do think we're coming up here next now to test and probably break this high over here. I don't know what happens from there. Let's see if we get a test of this area first before we talk about, or even get into if we break that area, what kind of targets we're looking at. But look at this candle right now. This is devastating. And there were a lot of people who definitely were buying the dollar is done argument. Why I think milkshake theory, why I think that happens, it's got to do a lot of damage first. And I think that they still have more they could throw at it. I think it's going to be the US Treasury's turn next time. I don't know what they could do. Of course, they're talking about payroll tax cuts. They have means at their disposal to try to weaken the dollar, but I don't think Muchin is, I think he's pretty smart. And I think the people, I think Trump is good at taking advice from advisors most of the time. I don't think they're going to come out and try to intervene in the dollar, knowing that it would be temporary unless they had the full support of other countries and it was anything unified. And I don't think we're there yet. I think anything thrown at the dollar will be much more like we saw. Let's go back to a different chart. Over here is what? No, it's not. When did the Fed cut? I'm not sure exactly when the Fed cut the first time. What was it? Last Wednesday, and you saw the dollar actually trade off a little bit and then shake it off. And I think that will continue to be what we see. I also see Thomas. I saw headlines about them wanting to ban short selling in the U.S. markets. Also, I've never known a time where currencies have stopped trading. Now, being short stocks is very dangerous. There's a video. His first name is Mark with a C. If you Mark Real Vision, this interview he did, this guy was short billions of dollars during the 2008 crisis. Goldman was his counterparty. Basically, they called him up and forced him to liquidate all of his positions. Uh, Unwinding that actually caused him to take a loss. This guy was short everything at the right time. The biggest casualty I've ever seen in the foreign exchange markets was when the Swiss bank gave up defending the peg of the euro, and it collapsed. I think it was like 30% overnight, and they kept trading. So I've never understood. Yeah, probably even when Soros and Druckenmiller took down the Bank of England, the pound kept trading. So I've never known a time when anything has been halted in the currency markets, which is why they're the biggest markets in the world. The stock markets, the U.S. stock market is tiny in comparison to the foreign exchange markets. Now, yeah, yeah, Dinkara, absolutely. So Okey in China they did the same thing. As soon as the China markets opened back up, they banned all short selling, except for when people are taking money out of funds, which is called redemption. Then if the fund needed to sell positions to be able to give that money back to clients, they were allowed. It worked. When people weren't selling, the Chinese stock market didn't go down, and it sincerely looks like that's where they're headed now. How long that will last? That's a temporary solution. That's only a temporary solution, because even though if you can't sell things short, people could still take their money out of the markets. Dollar definitely coming off pretty hard. Gold rising. This is normally a pretty decent move. Obviously, right now, not much. The next support is down over here at 99.83. Let's draw this in because this will become an important level. Let's look at the pound US dollar. A lot of people are focused in on the pound today, rightfully so. The pound has been obviously in play. You can see the dollar on the as the dollar came off a little bit, pound retracing a little bit. This is straight down, and although this looks like possibly the end of a move, I'm not. There's no way, obviously, there's no way I would step in there to buy. It's not my style anymore. Um, I don't know. I don't really know why the pound is getting so affected, to be honest. But this looks ugly. And I hope it's not just me. I hope a lot of you are able to look at these charts and to first of all be able to process how we are in a different type of trading environment, what that means, and then second of all, be looking at trades that you saw beautifully and gave up on too soon. Because I did it here on the pound Japanese yen as amongst many other things, right? You can see we're coming down into support over here. Um, and I think we should probably take a look at all yen pairs right now and figure if they're also into support over here. U.S. equity markets are just off their lows, but not looking the best either. Yeah, they have. Right here, right now, though, on the pound Japanese yen, you could see we're into a little area of support. Now, the thing though is that the time to short these was, well, here's the first big level. This was like a 6 week period of consolidation, and then this held for months afterwards. A break below there, that's where I was looking for the target, but you could see you broke through there with vengeance. A break below here, that was the structure breaking down. The trend line was your next area for to take profit. Uh, and then over here, you can see when we lost that trend line, that's another area to short. I don't know. I'm not going to short a breakdown of this support over here. I feel like the time to get short has. I missed those opportunities. They were 1,200 pips ago, and then also 600-700 pips ago. So I don't like the trade anymore. The idea, the most important thing as a trader is to perceive what's happening before it happens and get involved and be positioned before it happens, not after it happens. Otherwise, you find yourself chasing moves and moves retrace against you. So it's good to recognize and see the breakdown and how it broke down and go back and review it. But it already broke down, and I'm not saying it can't go further. Of course it can. Let's look at a monthly chart. Of course, we come down and even test 120 or even break 120. If we're going to see the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen trade at 70, which remains a possibility, of course we could see much lower levels, but we just moved 1,200 pips. So I don't chase after moves. It's difficult, and also the difficult piece is that even trades that I want to get into, I can't chase after right now, and the retrace isn't happening. So it's just a question of waiting, you know. So Mohammed, I hope so. And then after that, how do you manufacture, you know, 8 billion vaccines? But ride the waves. This is where we are, right, Mohammed? And that's why, like, the sharp pullbacks will come. They will come, and if you're waiting and you're patient, they will be plenty of time to get back on a new wave and ride it. But trying to get onto a wave after that, as that wave has been riding or going for a little while, that's dangerous. That's when you get towards the whitewash. Yeah, different times. Um, I'm pausing here for a second because I think someone pulled up something they wanted to. Oh, the Australian dollar. Let's start on the wow. I mean, I've talked about before. One of the things that I wish to understand better is distribution in topping patterns over here. This looks to me, without being educated on it, a Y cliff, Wyckoff distribution over here at the top. I'm not familiar with it. I know it's exactly what it is though, and I wish that's something that I would like to work on in my old age as I get older over the next 20 years, become a master at that as I even move into longer term time frame trading. But breaking it down over here, we're looking at a monthly chart, by the way, a monthly chart over here. And this was the line in the stand. Here is the resistance, the support held over here, support, right? And here's a fake break, not so easy to trade, especially on a monthly time frame. But over here, when you got that break retest, so down here, right, man, and then learning to push a trade, right? The ideal. So if you don't look at something, you can't really retrain your brain, reprogram those neurons and get it right. But here's the move down, right? And you can see this is the first area where my chart is, the first area of resistance. Imagine yourself, visualize yourself having the capacity and the foresight to be able to do this. Now we're not looking here at the situations between the fundamentals of the Australian dollar and Singapore dollar. We're just looking pure technicals right now. Coming down in here, though, which you need to on a trade like this, coming down into that first area of resistance, taking most of your profits, taking a good amount of profits off here, wait for the next retrace. Right now, this is where we're at. I'm waiting for the retrace in a lot of these risk off pairs. I'm waiting. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait, and I hope I'm smart enough because over here, everyone's thinking recovery, recovery. No, come back into the next big resistance. Boom. And what happens here, right? Again, same thing. That's how you have to learn how to trade. When we're in an environment like this and we are seeing things move, pound Japanese yen, 2 weeks, 1,200 pips. Volatile markets. So the dollar looks like it is now retracing. Look at that, up 1.1%. Let's look at the weekly chart. That's the monthly we already saw before together. Look at that. Look how powerful that is. Wow. I just want to check in for a minute and look at some headlines over here to see if there's any talk about what is going on over on Capitol Hill. Okay, so this is the top headline. They're going to have the vote on the House bill today. I can't imagine. Can you imagine it not passing? And the reason I say that is because that would be political suicide, not passing. All is the people see is that it's a bill on the virus. They don't know the details. I don't know. We will see. Things are moving fast. What else do you guys want to look at today? It's just not an environment. It's almost a jump in and hold. Close your eyes and hold environment. It's not really it's not an environment if you're not in a position to be chasing after. From my style of trading, but a lot of you have different styles of trading. So if you all are watching something, if you let me know the time frame you're looking at it in on, we could definitely dig in and take a look. With the pound so weak today, let's see what happened with the New Zealand dollar. Imagine that. Look how the pound getting destroyed across the board, and to me, this just is just a fuller pullback with this area of support holding. If anything, this looks good. The pound is not going to go straight down forever. Either is the New Zealand dollar, though. That's for sure. What's the New Zealand dollar, US dollar doing? It's down 2% as well. Yeah. No, thank you. I think that it's a question of being involved in U.S. dollar. I have my euro on, Swiss franc, Japanese yen against the weak currencies. Right now, those moves are just continue to flow. Um, gotta be patient. There's going to be a sharp retrace eventually. So that Yazbek, that's a really good question. We were talking about that earlier this morning. The thing is that while do not ever underestimate the ingenuity of America and the American people, and for sure, wow. At the same time, there's a different thing between the American people, the American government, and the powers that be. All right, those are three different things, and the powers that be, uh, you know, I think everything is playing out exactly as they want it to be. There's a reason that the CDC was 6 weeks late in getting only test kits out. There's a reason for it. It's all orchestrated and it's all going to plan. It's not that the U.S. Was and the people are not capable and we're not capable. Right, the most prepared for a pandemic, and look how they've dropped the ball. I think everything is going exactly according to plan. It's going to be a wild day. Headlines. If they don't pass this bill today in the Senate, we're going to see limit down on the equity markets. If they do pass it, let's see how the market reacts. But it's going to be a lot of volatility today. Keep up on these headlines because they're going to affect the currency markets. Now, I thought the Hong Kong dollar was pegged to the US dollar, so I'm not sure there's any difference of looking at the Australian dollar, Hong Kong dollar, or the Australian dollar, US dollar. And you can see, Jesse, it's the same exact thing because the Hong Kong dollar, not that it can't lose the peg. People like Kyle Bass are predicting that they're going to eventually lose the peg, but right now the Hong Kong dollar is pegged exactly to the US dollar. So you're seeing the same exact move as you would just looking at the Australian dollar, the US dollar. There it is. The exact same. So this was our point. This is our pattern. We need to hold things for a longer. Yeah, I tried to put it as delicately as possible, where I tend to be pretty direct and forthright. I tried to put it as delicately as possible. But thanks for looking out, brother. For real. I'm not. I'm getting old now. I'm not really looking for debates with people. For real. Especially when people are emotional. I love to have conversations. I don't care what someone's opinion is. Especially if it differs from mine, better. I get to learn more. I just don't like, uh, you know, emotional debates. And a lot of people, when confronted with certain ideas or truths that are contrary to ones they hold, tend to get quite emotional. But thank you, brother. Thank you for looking out. London about to go. These headlines are surreal. London going on lockdown. Thing. Bill Gates knew this was going to happen. Did you ever think that you'd be seeing a headline that says London braces for lockdown because there is a dangerous virus out there? I'm saying today, even I'm not even at the calendar, because I just don't know that it even matters right now. Federal Reserve jumping in with 1.5 billion, stimulus, cutting rates to zero. I mean, that's not really having an effect on the markets. But nevertheless, good luck, and let's watch to see. Yeah, Antonio, of course we'll look at it. No, 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 Yazbek. There's no inconvenience. One second, everyone, please. I'm sorry. All right, let's. Sorry about that. The kids are obviously not in school. So yeah, it's back. No, it's a good question. It's really an important question. I I I really tried to answer it as truthful as possible, and without getting into it. And Blair is right, right? Like, so I mean, there's no sorry or any inconvenience whatsoever, but probably not the right time to get into certain things in this type of public arena or environment. That's all. So the calendar Jesse doesn't matter. Euro, British pounds. Oh my goodness, I would have got crushed if I started building into this trade, because I thought for sure right around this area over here, I thought this is a good area to lean into against the euro with the pound. Look how the euro has gotten smashed over these past week, 8 9 days. The euro is getting smashed versus the dollar, but the euro is crushing the pound. Right? I thought this was a good area to lean into here to get long the pound versus the euro. I'm thankful I didn't do that. Um, Let me look at a monthly chart over here. And well, I mean, easier said than done now. I mean, this is upper right. At this point, I have to. At this point, I mean, first of all, I don't know. Second of all, I have to stay away from it. Third is I'm looking at the euro and the pound, and in this environment, I'm really all about sticking with strength and weakness in this environment. And yeah, you could say the euro is stronger than the pound, but I prefer when we talk about weakness, I'm looking at commodity currencies. When we talk about strength, I'm looking at risk off currencies. We're in a crisis. Is this an enormous move? Bazooka, absolutely enormous. Um, I don't really know what to do with it, to be honest. If anyone has any type of opinions, analysis, way to play it, let's do that. Let's dig in. Let's figure it out. Is there opportunity? Of course, there's enormous opportunity. It's not the opportunity I was looking for, and I don't know what to do with it. So interesting environment today, in that such markets are down. Uh, if the markets were down a month ago 3%, everyone would be like psychologically blown out of the water. A 3% move right now, I mean, we've adjusted to the volatility, but markets are down 3%. Bitcoin is up, not much, but it's up. And gold, I say, only down 1%, because what we've seen happen lately is when the markets are getting crushed, we're seeing gold and or Bitcoin also getting crushed. Are we starting to see the US dollar is breaking today? I mean, it's not really breaking, but it's breaking. Um, and just be aware, with the dollar going bazooka today, gold is not really getting hit and Bitcoin is up. All right. that's something really important to kind of focus in on, because that's the future, right? And you even see it playing out a little bit today. Thomas, we were talking about yesterday. You were talking about the euro US dollar coming down and testing was a good area for take profit. Oh my goodness, look at these moves. It was a good area down here, right? And now that looks to be close in play. I don't know what level we need to take out. It looks like we're right around it. I think if we move down about another, 20 pips or so, that this is the next level in play down here. That's that's what I thought too. That and especially leaving the EU right now. And I also thought that in uh, forward thinking, I was thinking that we're going to see more fragmentation in the EU. It's going to become, right now it's, oh, love your neighbor, open borders. Well, right now borders are closed, and soon it's going to be like, what do I need to do to survive and feed my people? So I thought we were going to see more fragmentation in the euro. I thought the euro is going to weigh a lot more on the euro, and that's why I would have been ready to short down here. I was looking at it down over here in this area, right over here, and clearly, clearly, I don't have my pulse on what's going on here. Just do you want to keep focused on what is happening? Wow. Sunset, there's the release of the data. Hi, baby girl. Okay, sorry about that. Wow, it's a great tip, Jesse. Thank you. That's definitely appropriate for me and my family. And US is not a cash-based system, cash-based country. That is very helpful. Of course, people should try not to be out of the house anyway. For the economies that are cash-based, also be aware that the virus definitely, China had to burn, right, a lot of their currency because it was infected with the virus. So the biggest thing right now facing the markets is going to be Trump speaking. If the Senate is able to pass this bill, if that is, I think that's going to be very positive for risk on, more so than the Fed cutting rates to zero and injecting $1.5 billion in liquidity. I think that will give us the bounce I'm looking for. And at the same time, if they do not pass the bill, the markets are going to get obliterated. So there's a big day ahead of us. We are still going to see some continued moves. The dollar is currently trading at its high for the day. Wow. So you have to admit the yen is holding up pretty okay coming into this area of interest during this dollar strength today, at least. It's I don't know. That's interesting. And the thing is you know most people, a lot of people in the U.S. do not rely on cash. There are certain economies that entirely rely on cash. I think I heard Amazon is only delivering pharmaceuticals and or something else. That's pretty insane if you think about it. We heard from someone down under today, from someone in Australia, that only they were only allowed to buy 2 packages of pasta yesterday at the grocery store. Um, Amazon, thank you, John. So I leave it to you. I'm gonna rest my voice here for a second. If anyone is interested in looking at something, I don't have a read on all of you. I don't know if you guys are in the same space I am in understanding how I'm looking and viewing the market. Um, oof. Tico, crazy play. I've seen you pull them out in the past. Um, I think it was on. I could be wrong. I think it was on the Swiss franc Japanese yen. Um, I hope you're right. At the same time, we are in a look at what the dollar's doing. Now they're looking to get rid of all of their thing is already in a warehouse. The positive swap is nice. So just to talk this through anyway, I do want to look at it, and there's no question it's a beautiful swap. The reason down over here, talked about in the live stream. I was talking to a investment banker in Mexico, asking him why, when the dollar was so strong, why the Mexican peso was stronger, and he was letting me know that, listen, it's because of the carry trade. People want to collect that interest, and and that they want to be able to collect that interest. It's out of all of the emerging markets, it's the highest rated. People feel safest, and obviously, look how quickly this could blow up. Are we stopping here at 24? Or are we headed towards 26? You know, it's hard to say right now. Things, the dollar is breaking out. The dollar is breaking out because of what's going on, within the system. Um, if this is the high of the move and you're able to position yourself over here, and it could be the high of the move, and you're able to hold this position collecting the spread, that's amazing. I don't know that I am can do that, TikTok. I'm really behind you on that. It's just hard when you're in no man's land because there's nothing above us here, right? All right, let's take a look at the 5 minute then on the boom, boom, boom. Wow. So I'm gonna look at something else though. So if you're looking at here, possible left shoulder, head, right shoulder, you know, neckline. At the same time, it could also be looking like a bear flag over here. What else do we see on some other time frames though? Let's look at the 30 minute. Here, I mean, you could see it looks to me. I'm not saying the 5 minute head and shoulders is not there. This kind of looks like a channel we have going on over here right now. Um, it's tough. I have to say, gold only down 1.5% today, with the dollar making extraordinary gains. If the one worry here is, I believe, if we get any type of if we get a stimulus package passed today by the Senate, gold is going to react and it's going to be very favorable for gold, right? Think about it. If they're talking about a 1.2 trillion dollar stimulus, I think that's going to benefit gold personally. So that's the one thing to worry about. I know that's not purely priced in on charts. That's a little bit of fundamentals, but definitely be a heads up on that. That's good to go. I mean, and my number has been 26. But to be honest, I would not. I don't have the fortitude now to step in and sell it if we did hit up there. Only because I think we're in uncharted territories here. And when I say uncharted territories, is what happens if the dollar trades at 120? I mean, we're where's your out? What's your risk on that? Is it possible the dollar trades up here at 120? I don't know. First, we're looking at 104. We'll see what happens up there. Um, but who know? I don't know right now. I guess what I'm trying to say, or what I am trying to say is, I personally am giving things a lot more room than I normally would. These are not normal market situations. For sure, that I think earlier in the week, the Mexican central bank came in and tried to defend the peso a little bit with a few $1 billion. For sure, they're going to do that again. And if you get in here, Tigo, right before they do that, you could have a beautiful entry. Here's where they did it. Right over here, it was at 23, 22.95. This is where the Mexican central bank intervened, and you saw a big move down. I hope as you get in here, we come down, a cent really quick, giving you some space. But things are broken. Um, Headlines, because I'm looking for things as far as what's going on Capitol Hill, about that bill, but Canadian border closed again. Surreal headlines here. Of course, it's zero hedge, but it is what it is. The borders are closed. Resurgence in Asia. This I need to read later to understand this. Talk about headlines again. Military assistance needed to combat the New York City outbreak. You guys have all been talking about. We're just getting started. In a few weeks, things are going to look a lot different. Did the Fed purposely try to crash the stock market? Well, you all know before any of this happened, I was talking about that being a possibility. It looks like, first of all, let's go back to your Nick, your look at gold. I'm gonna move up that neckline for you a little bit. Getting close to the break of your neckline. Um, U.S. Equity markets trading near the lows of the day. Figure where that is. So, Thomas, though, one thing about probably the trade of the year, as far as the whole world, is I forgot the name of the trade. It has a famous name to it, but every year the Mexican government hedges the price of oil. Um, and this, I mean, can you imagine they didn't do that? They would be in dire straits right now. And the I forgot the name of the hedge. You know, I doubt it's called the tequila hedge, or but it has a name, and you know, think about it. They must have put on that trade when oil was somewhere trading around 50 something dollars, and they have completely protected themselves. This is something going on before the current administration. It has nothing to do with AMLO. It's something that the Mexican central bank has always done, and they're going to look like geniuses this year for it. Dollar continues to take everything out. Here we go, right over here, Nick. You're towards the bottom of the neckline. We're going to find out very soon if we break that. If we break that, there's a good chance we take out the lows down here. I would say so. DXY trading up to 183 with the euro down now. And I think getting towards an area where she could come down now and test out this support down here at 1.0776. Yeah, definitely pull it up right now. Equity markets getting crushed right now towards the lows of the days. Again, um, I, I think this is all about what happens in Washington today. Absolutely, of course. Also, everyone, time of day is uber important. Don't forget right now. My time for my time the time zones are so off right now, but we're right here at the London close, and you could see some sharp moves always into the close that normally do retrace directly afterwards. Wow, it is quite an epic day. DXY testing up here on 101 right now. It is, Jesse, a day to go ahead and make a milkshake, and as you slurp down that milkshake, just make that analogy in your head of what is going on here right now, because it is in play. Oil, $23. All right, everyone, I think this is the perfect place to end today's live stream. Today definitely be a day that I'm going to go ahead and put together thoughts and send out the newsletter. So I will definitely go ahead and be sending out stuff through there. Thanks, Sven. And definitely look out for an update in there. I don't think that I'm going to be putting out any updates on TradingView, only because it's not the time where I'm looking for setups right now. You all know where my head is at and what I'm continuing to do. I'm going to keep doing that. It closes in 2 hours. I don't know. My time zones are completely off right now. Before we get off, if anyone could give a hard GMT update on that, please do. Like I said, we just went back to Mexico, and their time zones are different than the States, different than London's, and I'm all out of whack right now. But before we get off, I would love if someone. So the current time in New York right now is 10 o'clock a.m. What time New York time is the London close right now? 2 hours from now? 12 o'clock, which was normally 11 Eastern time. Thanks, Blair. Thanks, Sunset. I'm copy and pasting all of this. All right, everyone. I appreciate you, and I'll talk to you later. Have a great day, everyone. 11 a.m. Eastern time. Isn't it 11 a.m. Eastern time right now? Oh, see that? Daniel, I threw everyone off. I said it's 10 a.m. My time zones are totally off. You're right. I have a 2 hour difference right now. Thank you. This is probably wrong. Let's stick with local London time then. Sorry for confusing you all on that. That's not a good way to end. But nevertheless, thanks everyone. Talk to you later.